What's up, guys? So we're gonna play some Harry Potter, and we're gonna watch Psychobabble TV. Which in this episode is Kiely, Rodni. No evidence it was anything other than a tragic accident. So let's get started.
Got to do one more video today because I keep seeing rumors that we're going to get an update in the Kiely Rodni case any day now, and I want to get out in front of it. And I want to officially put my theory out there because I'm one of them kind of people. I just love to say I told you so to people that think they know everything, and I have not seen anything that would indicate anything other than a tragic accident in this case.
I agree 100%. There's no way to, like, anybody that thinks that this Kiely Rodni thing it was anything other than a tragic. Like I don't think it was a. Yeah, I don't agree with him. I'm sorry, I just don't. Like, I think it was a murder. Uh, I don't agree with what he said there, but we'll see what he says. Like, I like this guy though.
There, there has been so much speculation, and all of the conspiracy theories, the foul play, the all of that has been grounded in either ignorance of the automobile, gross exaggerations of the facts, or just wild speculation. And something I learned very early on in my career as a technician, it's typically the most simplest thing. I can't tell you how many times I've seen technicians beat their head against the wall trying to solve a drivability issue on a car, throwing parts at it like crazy, and only to find that it was a blown fuse. Reminds me of a guy that they hired to work under me when I was a shop foreman at Taylor Chevrolet in Lancaster, Ohio. I was the shop foreman in their Buick store and hired a technician who sort of had a big head and tried to convince me that he knew everything. And one of the first jobs that he was dispatched was a vehicle that the cruise control on the car didn't work. And these people were on vacation. And they're traveling in their 6-month-old Buick that's still under factory warranty, and the cruise control quit working. And when the technician pulled this car into the service bay, I noticed that the rear third brake light bulb was out. And as the day progressed, watching him tear this car apart, he had I walked over and I said, "Hey, you might want to check that rear brake light." Just nonchalantly. The guy told me he was a technician, he had a lot of experience. And he tore his car to shreds. He had the kick panels out, the foot panels out, the carpet pulled up, the wiring harness pulled out of it. He put a cruise control servo on it, a cruise control switch on it, cruise control dump valve on it, a new brake light switch on it. And guess what it was, folks? Third brake light bulb was out. Cruise control power feeds through the third brake light bulb for a reason, because that's a safety issue. And when that bulb goes out, it shuts down the enhancements such as cruise control. So if you got a car, the cruise control ain't working, you need to check your third brake light bulb. Now, to move on. It's always the most likely, not the most unlikely. It's typically the most likely, not the most craziest, far-fetched thing possible. And it's something funny about this younger generation that just wants to believe in the just most wildest, far-fetched nonsense rather than just what is most likely. And that brings us to the Kiely Rodni case. What's most likely? Well, what's most likely is it was a tragic accident. All of these theories.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't think that's what happened. And if that's what ends up coming out that happened, I'm gonna call bullshit. Like, I'm a big fan of Psychobabble, but I don't agree. I don't agree that's what happened.
It's built around misinformation, ignorance about the car, people that are viewed as knowledgeable people making comments in absolutes when they're not certain about what they're talking about, like Doug from Adventures with Purpose, who is just awesome at speaking in absolutes about shit he doesn't know a thing about, like automobiles. And no, kids, being a tow truck driver do not make you mechanic, not by a long shot. That's another misconception. You go in a parts store and the kid behind the counter that gets the parts off the shelf and hands them to you, they're not technicians. If they were technicians, they'd be working in a dealership fixing automobiles for serious money, not working at a parts counter for minimum wage. You find technicians in a repair shop, not at a parts counter. Always remember that. That knucklehead selling you them parts don't know any more than you do. Anyway, back to the topic. This was a tragic accident. All the wild theories are grounded.
No, it wasn't. She didn't die by accident. I disagree.
In, as I said, a lot of misinformation, gross exaggerations, people speaking in absolutes when they shouldn't. So the first thing I want to do is punch holes in those real quick. Okay. Doug from Adventures with Purpose led us to believe that the road that you would take to get to where Kiely's car was found could not be traveled because it was this like really bad road, and you would need a four-wheel drive. But magically, in the video of them retrieving Kiely's car, when Doug is sitting in the kayak or the boat talking to them about shutting their phones off and going dark, if you look in the back of the shot, and I've said this 1,000 times, there is a family in a minivan.
That was easy.
Blowing up water toys and lighting a hibachi grill, which would indicate they drove their minivan back there. And if you look further off in the shot, there's an elderly couple sitting in lawn chairs beside their little Ford, looks like a Fairlane. There is another person in a Honda Civic, and this couple in a minivan. In the Adventures with Purpose video, where Doug says you can't make it back that road. I went to Google satellite images, and in Google satellite images, I counted 14 cars on that side of this road you can't travel. It was a habit for the kids in that community and adults as well. Guys, you got to understand, this is a public park that's popular for that town, Truckee. That's where everybody goes. They're going to have their family reunion there. They're going to have their graduation party there. They're going to have cookouts there. It's a very popular place. And it's a common practice with the youth in that area to drive right up to the water's edge and party. And I'm talking so close you could open the car door and tickle your toes in the water. And we can see this. We can see this in multiple photos. We can see it by the hundreds of tracks all around the water's edge. We can see it in the Adventures with Purpose video, where they're telling us they're about to dive on Kiely's car, and there's this family right in the back of the shot in their minivan having a cookout, Doug. And Kiely was no stranger to that park. They went there almost every weekend. this party was not unusual. There were kids gathering out there every weekend. Kiely knew that place like the back of her hand. And in fact, there is a video of Kiely driving her mother's Toyota 4Runner.
We'll let it go to the 10-minute mark.
And she drives through a tunnel and over this 4-wheel drive trail. And then at the end of the video, they're parked right at the water's edge in the car. And in Zanime X's video, that video's up on my channel, you can count 21 cars sitting at the water's edge in her video. That's how common, that's how popular this park is. That's how common it is to park near the water's edge. Now, in the particular place where Kiely's car was found, there's a pretty steep bank for the last 8 feet or 9 feet to the water. It's pretty steep. It's 45-degree angle. And that 45-degree angle would continue right down into the water, go to the bottom. And there's a misconception that the car was laying flat on the bottom on its top. And that's not the case.
It definitely wasn't. It was sideways, with the back of it further up in the water and the front of it further down in the water.
Nah, we're going to get into that. It's my belief that Kiely, like she had done many times before, simply drove her car down that very accessible road where we saw several other automobiles to park by the water's edge, either alone or with somebody else. That we're not going to know. No one knows unless you were there. Adventures with purpose, opinion about how the car entered the water would have no more weight than mine or yours. They weren't there. They're not crash experts. When they get to a car, it's on the bottom. So they wouldn't know any more about how that car entered than anyone else. I just want to clear that up. Just because you are a sonar expert.
This still hasn't proved that it wasn't foul play. I'm sorry, it was. No matter how you look at it. Like, I'm not going to stop following or watching Psychobabble because I think he's fucking awesome. But we have to agree to disagree on this one. Like, I think it was foul play, 100%. I don't want to use one. No. Okay. So I thought we got marbles now? Oh, we can move them. Okay. Okay, so you had to get the marbles to cast.
Sorry. It doesn't mean you're an expert at everything else, kids. And I believe she drove that car to the water's edge like she had done many times before to either sleep, park, party in private, whatever. And from there, something tragic happened. She hit the gas instead of the brake. The car stalled and it rolled in gear and rolled right into the water. And I believe, it's my belief, based on the damage on the car, the steepness of the bank, and the way the car was sitting on the bottom, that car hit that water at a 45-degree angle and it began to flip before it ever got in the water. And when it hit the water and them windows were down and it was already on its side, it sunk fast. That's why the window was broke out. And we see this in there's more evidence to back up my theory in the kid that found the laptop in one of his other videos. there is glass, broken glass, close to the bank.
Yeah, but that could have been any vehicle. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's her vehicle that was. I mean, I get it. I get what we're trying to get here, but yeah, that doesn't prove nothing.
Now, I believe that broken glass close to the bank was her window shattering when that car rolled as it went down that steep bank at a 45-degree angle. And when the right side tires of the car hit the water, it caused the car to flip.
Yeah, I don't think
And this is what I'm going to show
it.
you.
Like, it's a possibility. What he's saying, how the car went into the water, 100%. That's a possibility. But for it to be just a tragic accident, I call bullshit. If that was the case, they would have already come out and cleared everybody. But they haven't. And if they do come out and say that now, I'm going to call bullshit because if it was a tragic accident, they already fucking know and aren't telling anybody. So I just don't believe that it was an accident.
We're not talking about it going straight down the bank. We're not talking about that. We're talking about it coming in at an angle down the bank, down that steep bank. When that tires hit, it began to roll. Broke the window, flipped on over, windows down. 30 seconds, it was on the bottom.
Ooh, a frog. Do we got to catch the frog?
There's a lot of misconceptions
2 frogs
out there due to ignorance about the car. One,
Oh, you got to
I've said
hit the
this
frog.
before and
Okay.
we'll say it again. It's indicative to the design of an automatic transmission. They will roll in any gear with the engine on.
Which is true to a point. There have been some people that have proved this theory also to be possibly wrong. But for the most part, they will roll 100% in any gear except park. So, for the most part, he is 100% on fact that about this.
Any direction. There are no gears inside of an automatic transmission. There are only clutch packs that need to be pressurized by a high pressure pump that's being spun by the engine. Without that engine running, creating that 5,000 psi of pressure to pack those clutch packs, you just got a free rolling shaft there that's got no gears on it. Just clutch packs that aren't energized, and it'll roll freely. There's 2 reasons for this. One of them is, again, it's indicative to the design of the automatic transmission. It's what makes an automatic do what an automatic does. We don't need a clutch anymore.
Well, that would only need
the clutch
one
packs
hit.
inside there slip for us. We don't have to ease our foot off the clutch. And a lot of the young, in the defense of the millennial age and down, many of them have probably never even been in a manual shift car. When I was a teen, every car was stick shifting. You had to order an automatic car. Stick shift was standard equipment. But that argument, it's not even debatable. Because of the way an automatic transmission is designed, there's nothing else it can do but roll freely when not in gear, or when in gear and the engine not running. There's another reason for it. If you're driving down the road 70 miles an hour.
All right, guys, there's going to be a part 2 to this. So, as soon as I beat this level, I'll start the part 2. There'll be another part. So, there we go.